escape, that you may be able to endure it. Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you.
Good morning, everybody. So I've been having some tech issues this morning. Good morning, Tony. Good morning, Fritz. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. But yeah, how's your guys' weekend been? Hopefully good. Yeah, we got a lot to discuss this morning. Worked yesterday, lazy day today. Yeah, perfect. Perfect way to spend your lazy day, right? Looking at the charts. So yeah, let's get started. You just make sure everything is present how it needs to be. How was your guys' experience last week? Let me know some strengths, some positive, some negative takeaways. How you guys are going to improve or what you're going to amplify to continue improving. Shit, what the hell was that? Yeah, let me know in the chat what your guys' experience was last week. It was a very interesting week, last couple weeks. I think we could leave that right there. Sorry, I was having so much tech issues I couldn't even like set my stuff up properly, right? I just spent all my time trying to figure out what the heck was happening. Just gonna start fresh. Sorry about this, guys. Bear with me for a second. Of course, I had to fix some stuff. Can you guys hear me okay? Hopefully. That was the issue earlier. The mic wasn't working. Things weren't being recognized. Yeah, let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Yeah? Alright, cool. Tony, can you hear me? The rest of you guys that are on here, can you hear me? Tony's clear. Okay. Alright, good. Yeah, because last week we had an issue. It was too low for whatever reason. It was about to be the same way today. So I was like, nah, let me figure it out. Alright, I'll take that as we're all in the clear. here too. Yeah, we'll start fresh today. But yeah, so, all right. As always, right, this is where we begin. Okay, we begin at the economic calendar. Obviously, we're approaching the end of the month, so the expectations should be very minimized. Price has given a pretty solid rebound, if you ask me. Right, it's came off the low here. This huge displacement didn't really break any structure, really. But this high and this high getting violated proves the change in the state of delivery for me. And then, of course, if I was going to continue to short as a result of that taking place, I'd have to see PD array start to get violated again. If DXY does want to continue doing what it's doing and completely tanking, which I'm going to assume that that's what it's going to do, it looks like it wants to retrace. We took external range liquidity. What happens after we take external range liquidity for the most part? Do you guys remember what we talked about? Just toss your answer in the chat. So once external range liquidity is taken, what does the next mode of delivery generally turn into? Even if it was a continue. Going for internal range. So Fritz, that's correct. So what is internal range liquidity? Specific points of interest I want you to name. Imbalances. What else? I want you to at least have two. Previous high, yep. Previous highs and lows. Like say there was like a swing high up in here and it was retracing. Voids for value gaps. Yes. What else? There's one more. There's one thing that it's not. Obviously, there isn't only 3 internal range liquidity pools, but there's a couple obviously highs. In this case, like a high because we're shorting. FVGs or imbalances, and then what else? One more. I want you to have at least one more to consider. If price is retracing, it's going to be a PD array. Premium and discount is a good thing to think about too. But specifically, I'm talking about internal range liquidity / PD arrays. So highs are one, imbalances are another. And then what's one more that you could think of, aside from voids and gaps and whatnot? It's a very common one. The specific one I'm looking for. Yes, exactly. Order blocks. Exactly. So imbalances. If price is retracing and we took external range liquidity, internal range liquidity, yeah, exactly. A breaker, order blocks. Just really depends, right? So price is retracing off the low being taken. And if it was to continue going lower, it's going to reach for internal range liquidity. Generally, it goes from stops being taken or external range liquidity to internal range liquidity, right? So stops to imbalance or fair value gaps or order blocks or whatever PD array price is pulling up into. If price is going to continue going lower, things inside this range, unless we break outside of it, are going to be classified as internal range liquidity as long as we continue going lower. All right, and then once things switch and adjust, say it starts to go bullish, then the lows would be internal range liquidity that get left. Here, let me actually visually draw this out. All right, so if it was to do something like this, right? So lows can be classified as liquidity internally if it was going to go higher. Fair value gaps could be classified as internal range. Bullish breaker could end up being a internal range liquidity pool. Discount wicks can be an internal range liquidity pool. And then when we're going higher again, those are internal for buy side delivery. External range would then turn into the highs. Versus what happens with downside delivery, which basically makes lows external range liquidity for the most part and turns highs into internal range liquidity. Okay, and then it would take highs or imbalance or breaker or whatever the case may be inside this range that's pushing price lower. And then once it delivers from that and starts attacking the lows then turn into external range liquidity. So going back and forth from buys to shorts on the higher time frame in terms of narrative, that's the classification between overall liquidity, internal range versus external range, and kind of how you want to think about things. Price goes from stops, right? Once it takes the high, if we're going higher, it goes from stops, aka external range liquidity, being the buy side here, and then it goes to inefficiency, right? Or some form of a PD array or a breaker or whatever the case may be, order block. And then once it fulfills that, if it's going to continue going higher, it'll then continue and attack external range liquidity, and then it'll come back again to fair value gaps, order blocks, breakers, whatever, as long as it continues going higher. But if we see something like this where it takes stops and then aggressively purges stops again, stops to stops behavior generally can turn things into a change in the state of delivery back the other way. Okay? So this is important because when you look at it and you go over to the NASDAQ, keeping that in mind, if we are going to continue going lower, we'd ideally want to have seen this go from stops taken back to inefficiency and then just continue running lower. You see this failure swing, so we refuse to do that. Okay, so what does that mean? We are potentially in a mode of transition, especially if this high is violated. That turns the narrative from bearish to bullish. Because obviously there's multiple PD arrays violated. If you go to the monthly chart, that's a massive, massive wick. I mean, right, we'll just have to see what it's going to do. But for the most part, if DXY does continue to fall, and we see this high continue to be closed above, and then we eventually get to this high, my attention goes to this fair value gap and this high. So again, like I was mentioning a second ago, from the stops to inefficiencies or stops to stop behavior that I was just talking about over here in the DXY, prices now went from stops to inefficiency, give a failure swing, and then now prices went back to stops. So technically this is stops to stops. So that is essentially possibly showing us that prices, it might be done trying to go lower, right? Obviously, if we break this low, if we break the fair value or the gap in here, and we just start slamming lower again, obviously we can adjust and get right back in line with this going to the downside. But this so far, we're going to have to watch kind of what it's going to do. My eyes are at this high here. I mean, it seems reasonable. If we go to the weekly chart, that high is up here. Okay, so oh wait, actually it's a little bit lower. So the high on that weekly chart is up here. Okay, so again, we're just going to have to monitor what it's going to do. We may be seeing the early stages of price looking to change overall from bearish to bullish. But it's really important that you keep in mind that stops to inefficiencies back to stops is generally a continuation like this. But then when price goes from taking stops and then aggressively punches through stops again without showing any respect to any of the PD arrays that are supposed to send price in that continued direction, generally that can be leading you to anticipate a possible change in the state of delivery overall in the higher time frame. But again, we have to navigate the higher time frame levels and pay attention to the levels that are significant on each time frame. Higher time frames where the narrative comes from. So of course, things happening on the weekly or the daily chart that change or go against whatever's taking place currently obviously could put you in a position to start considering a change in the overall delivery, right? The state of delivery. All right. There's a lot that we could talk about in that regard, but just going to leave that with you guys to think about. Okay. And again, we have lots of news this week. We have nothing on Monday. We have somewhat some things taking place on Tuesday. I wouldn't be surprised though if they use Monday and Tuesday to not really do much, especially because there's no news on Monday. There's some news on Tuesday, but then there's NFP all throughout the week. Okay, so we're going to have to pay attention to that. We got NFP on Friday at 5:30, We have no news events that are really late in the day, in the session. So, we're going to be navigating live in my private community. But then, of course, I'm going to navigate on Tuesday as well with you guys here on YouTube. So we're going to see what's going to take place here. Of course, we're going to monitor, be very cautious like we've been the last couple of weeks. And yeah, we're going to see, what the market can offer us. It's also not only NFP, not only is there, a ton of news that could be problematic, but it's also the end of the month. Okay. Price has been pretty aggressive the last couple of days, kind of slowed down for 2 weeks. But then, eventually we ended up, I believe, with this monthly candle being an indecision candle, right? Very manipulative candle. Look at the manipulation there. You could see, like, dude, it's been crazy, right? But if you spend time here, there's nothing to fear, really. We've been able to find some opportunities, both here on YouTube and my private community every day, essentially. Except last week we had 2 days that we pretty much sat on our hands for good reason. I had a couple students engage, when I said not to, right? And those lessons are needed, though, for a lot of us that are stubborn, and to identify the things that we have to improve upon. Sometimes we have to be put through the fire. I know that's how I was, but I try to make it so you guys don't have to deal with that and hurt yourself. But, some of us are just really stubborn, and we have to be punched in the face in order to know that, we probably shouldn't mess with certain conditions, at least until later on, when we have a process and plan and more experience around those specific moments in price. All right, so yeah, that's kind of the landscape for the news. Again, we go into the week thinking of Power 3. We go into the week identifying previous week's highs, previous week's lows, previous day's highs and lows, previous month's highs and lows, new week opening gaps, new day opening gaps, so on and so forth. And then we really pay attention to how those get utilized, right, from the higher time frame. And then, of course, on the lower time frame, we have our liquidity levels as well that never change. Something I do want to mention, which ICT's never done before. See, I've been talking about these specific highs and lows for the last 3 years because, throughout my studies, he's kind of placed different pools of liquidity and like how to navigate them. He's kind of placed the process or just a mindset around them all scattered around, even throughout his mentorship, right? He scattered it around in many different videos. He mentioned liquidity pools on separate videos over and over, but they were separated. So most people don't put what he said together. But yesterday I listened to ICT's Twitter space, and for the first time, since I've studied him, for the first time he mentioned things all at once in terms of the liquidity pools. And it's pretty amazing how it is exactly the pools of liquidity and the way of thinking about those pools of liquidity that I mentioned and have been mentioning for the last 3 years to you guys. And he basically highlighted why, because I've always sat here and wondered, right? Because I progressed pretty quick with my trading, okay? And I was kind of wondering why, because I see so many people failing, and I see so many people struggling with directional bias, what liquidity pools are important, and a whole laundry list of other things. But I come to find out yesterday when I was listening to his Twitter space after he described everything, and I just noticed that it was the list that I give you guys on a monthly basis, and you can go back in the free community, and then my private community students know in the pinned messages in every tab. You can go back and see in the pinned messages from even like 2021, I was putting these things there, where I was showing, and I didn't know at the time how impactful it was going to be, years ago. But now, yesterday, it really highlighted some of the critical elements as far as why I was able to progress fairly quickly in terms of understanding where price is going, right? And it has to do with the ability to identify those liquidity pools. Of course, there's other, elements as well. But the biggest thing, ICT even said out of his own mouth, understanding how to navigate these pools of liquidity brings him clarity. And notice, I say clarity all the time. That's the whole point of this YouTube channel, is to get you clarity. And I don't know, it hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday when he said that, because he coupled all these lists of liquidity pools that he's never put all in one video or one space or anything. And then he also said that it brings him clarity. So it makes sense as far as why I've been able to have clarity since 3 years ago, because I've been using this specific element. Of course, there's layers that you can go down into them. There's, it's not just like knowing the liquidity pools themselves, but it's how you use them, how they operate, within the daily range, the weekly range, and how they're used as draws on liquidity. And ICT highlighted that yesterday, and it really, really sparked something in my mind so I can fully understand why I've been able to progress so quickly. And basically the things that I share with you guys, and just the results I've seen from students, it explains to me why this stuff is so effective that I share and highlight. Again, I don't claim to create I created anything. I only created the way that I've organized my model and the way that I operate, my mindset and stuff like that. They're all elements obviously taken from ICT, and I have no problem giving him credit where credit's due, because it's a blessing that he has shared this stuff. But it was just amazing. So I encourage you guys, if you didn't listen to his Twitter space yesterday, I want you guys to also, before you do that, go to some of my older content in the free community, and then those of you in my private community that haven't went back and seen some of my older stuff as well, and how long I've been mentioning this stuff in terms of the specific pools of liquidity. It's fascinating, really. Hey, what's up, Brian? Man, long time no see, brother. Long time no see. I hope you've been doing well too. Hey, if y'all haven't followed Brian, you should go follow Brian. I think he posts on YouTube, from what I remember. He does an Instagram too. Breaker Brian, go follow him as well. He's definitely an amazing student. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Very insightful, very hardworking, and he's just a good man. So definitely go show some support to him. He has a lot of value he could provide to you guys, just from his perspective and whatever he's willing to share. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, Brian. It's good to see you. Hey, it is what it is. Social media is, it's not, it's not the most important thing. But yeah, thankfully social media is here though, because I got to meet you, one of the amazing people that I'm so grateful to have been able to come across through trading. So, but yeah, man, I hope you've been doing well. But yeah, so like I said, you guys, it's just fascinating how little elements that we overlook most of the time in the pursuit of trying to find a entry. It's just amazing how much we miss, and I try to get my students to really see the basics are critically important. And basics as in focusing on one model, focusing on your proper risk, having the right mindset, pools of liquidity that never change, right? All these things, and then bias and narrative, how to navigate that, how to use the news events, a lot of the basic things, how to navigate the daily, weekly ranges, power 3, what else? Just navigating the PD arrays, right? Just the basics, you know what I mean? Like, this stuff is so important. It's more important than trying to learn the Venom model or trying to learn this model or that model or trying to do, everything all at once. It's, there's better, more structured ways to do things. ICT in his Twitter space yesterday also said, for the 100th time, that most of his students that are doing well, they found something that works for them and they stuck to that, and they don't watch another video. There hasn't been really any videos that I've watched from ICT. I've chimed in here and there just to see what he's talking about. I haven't watched a full video of ICT's since 2022. Okay. I kind of just, figured, I got what I need, and, I'm just going to bloom where I'm planted, right? As he would say. And, it's going to be the same for you guys. Don't take his whole entire YouTube channel as if you need to know every single piece of information on there. It's good to get exposed to a lot of this stuff so you can see what's available, especially if you haven't found your model. Because how are you supposed to know what tools work for you if you don't have all the tools to look at? So then you could kind of, compare, contrast, and test here and test there and see what really makes sense. I do have a structured list of topics / processes that I recommend you have an answer to. There's subcategories within each subject, which I go into great detail on in my private community. But I shared the outline with you guys so you could do your own digging into it and try to figure out if you can find answers to all 10 subjects / processes. It's in my free Discord, and it's also, obviously, like I mentioned, in my private community too. And we focus there. It's like a trader development outline. And if you have an answer to all of those and you could prove it with examples, it's undeniable that you are making massive progress. And this has been the case for, hundreds of students that have come across my stuff and came and worked with me. So, the proof is in the pudding. I actually have a student that I do want to shout out right now because he just, I don't know, he joined me a month ago. And just a month of being around people that know what's happening, just being around the influence of our private community, this is the fastest progress I've ever seen. So I want to give him a quick shout out if that's okay with you guys, because I really appreciate my students and I got to give them their flowers because they work so hard. You guys work so hard. We work so hard as traders, and it's a very lonely industry. So I think we should all be supportive of each other and the goals and successes and the downsides that we have, because it can get real interesting, that's for sure. So let me find it real quick. If I could figure out where it's at. Yeah, all right, so here it is. So shout out my student, Sebastian, okay? This is what he has done since he's been with us. He's had one red day. He kind of, did a little too much there, obviously over trading, bit him in his ass. But look what happens when he follows the rules. When he's listening to what we're talking about. Even those of you that are on YouTube, they listen to my narrative, and, the last couple of weeks have been a bit rough in the marketplace, so obviously I've had to make sure that the students in my private community are not hurting themselves. But this is amazing, Just listening to me has helped him be more patient, only aim for the minimums, like I continuously try to press into people. And ICT too, right? I got that from ICT. He started this challenge this month since he joined the community, and he's already almost there. The profit target is 3K. He's already made 2,200 and has had one losing day, right? Pretty much that's what the whole community's had. One losing day out of the whole month, okay? And it's been rough for the most part in terms of identification of what it's going to do. But patience pays, and knowing what you're looking for, knowing when not to take a trade, how that mindset operates, it's extremely important. And a lot of times you either have to learn through the fire, shadow somebody, or just let time pass, and then you'll figure it out. Sometimes it'll take years, sometimes it'll take months. But being with somebody that knows what they're doing, either, just even being here on YouTube so you can ask me questions, or, anybody else that you follow that proves that they're consistent, and just, paying attention to following the rules and not doing too much. You notice that the one day that did, put a little bit of damage, if he wouldn't have overtraded here, he probably would have passed the challenge already, right? So think about that perspective. Use this as a case study. The days that you follow your rules, you only need 1 or 2 trades, max 3 trades, okay? That's literally all you need. You don't need to, if you have to take more than that, you're doing something wrong. 7 days here too, I'd critique that and say, you don't need that much. Maybe he was confident. Never know what's going through a trader's mind in certain moments. But again, this turned into a habit on the next day, and you could see the overtrading here sent overtrading to the next day because his mindset was like, oh, I should have made more, or whatever the case may be, and it tricked him, and he ended up paying the price for it. when he could have taken a smaller loss here and most likely, would have been a little bit closer. You take $300 away from this, $800 away from this that he lost, which, could have easily been captured through just taking one loss or two losses. And actually he would have passed the challenge, So breaking the rules prolongs whatever it is you're trying to do, no matter how confident you may seem in the marketplace. You have to follow the rules. There's a reason for it. Just like how you have to drive the speed limit, right? Why is the speed limit there? So you don't hurt anybody or yourself. It's the same thing in trading, but it's just so you don't hurt yourself. You got to have rules that are effective. And if you don't have rules, you have to get around someone that knows how to organize the rules, and they can give you recommendations so you can, start to build your own thing. Right? But again, I just wanted to shout him out real quick. I'm grateful that he had the trust. He started in the free community for a little while, and he decided to come over to the private community where we go live pretty much 5 days a week. And, the fruits of, being around people that understand is vitally important, especially in moments like this, in times like this, where the market is definitely more manipulated. It's definitely hard. And most of us, if we've been trading for a little bit of time, we haven't had enough experience to navigate these times in price and learn how to properly behave and what happens if you don't properly behave, the results of both the good and the bad, because that's something that you learn through fire, unless you shadow someone that can walk you through the mindset, how you need to be thinking, how you don't have to chase the trade, how if you miss a trade, it's okay. What tells us what in the marketplace, should we or should we not take a trade or even consider it? And there was 2 days last week that we didn't take any trades. And there was a reason. And we walked through the mindset of that. And, it'll probably happen one of these days on a Tuesday when I do live calls with the YouTube family. I think it may have happened once already. Last week, I think, where no trades were taken. Can't remember if it was last week or the week before that. But yeah, I think it's already taken place. Prices refused to do what we wanted to see it do. And, it's going to be that way. All right. Let me look at the comments. Yes, it's amazing. And he's a newer trader. He hasn't been trading that long, but it just shows the importance of being around the right information at a minimum, being around the right information. And then of course, learning the proper mindset, being okay with not feeling like you have to do this. Because think about it, like I mentioned, if he did not do this, he would have passed the challenge already. Take $800 loss away from this. Have this day have been a $300 loss instead. He would have been able to pass with this down here. All right, this $1,132 would have meant a whole lot more towards his bottom line. Because if you do the math, I believe... Actually, let's do the math real quick. Let's pull up the math. I'm actually curious. I didn't do this yesterday. I should have. 123 plus 240 plus 781. Yeah, it's kind of a small day here. I'm grateful that he chose to not take a trade, an extra one. He learned, hopefully, from this mistake over here that I'm not going to damage myself more. So I'm glad to see that. Plus 656 plus 195 plus 1,500. Yeah. You see that? Adding up the profits that he's made so far, if he would have just allowed this day to be a $300 loss, he would have been up $200 with his bottom line. So he would have been done already. But because overtrading and thinking he's gonna miss something, or whatever the case may be, whatever was happening, I have to probably talk to him after this call to see what transpired there that made him spiral into that. I believe that was also on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah. So, I'm going to definitely have to go see if we could knock that out. But nonetheless, he kept his confidence. He obviously has confidence in what it is that we do in the private community. I did not put him in any trades. I didn't say, hey, take this trade, take that trade. I showed him the narrative. I walked through the process, and he's building experience because he's not demanding me to give him signals. He's doing it on his own. And that's what I need you guys to be focused on. I'll call signals here and there, but that shouldn't be your goal, spending time with me. If that's what you want, you're going to be very frustrated trying to watch my stuff, and you probably won't be here that long, and that's totally fine. There's other people trying to, treat trading students like drug addicts, trying to turn them into junkies and, hey, depend on my signals, this and that. But that's just not me. Okay? I'm here to make you guys savages. Just like how ICT focuses on making us savages. You've come to me to try to help glue pieces together. And, that's my goal. Give you clarity and turn you into a freaking savage. Okay? And, he's not doing a lot. Right? You don't need to do a lot. This isn't a lot. Right? You can see, one trade, overdid it a little bit here. Didn't really have much here, but I like this better than I like this. Even though they're both winning and one day was more, this is a lot better following the rules. Okay, so think about that with you as well when you review your stuff. You'd rather have this following the rules than this breaking the rules. Because guess what happens if you break the rules? The next day you may think that that's okay, and it's not. Okay, this is a beautiful example of that. It's not. Okay, but when he follows the rules, things are amazing. Notice he didn't trade every single day, right? There was 2 days last week that I just refused to take a trade. So yeah. So I just thought this was going to be very helpful to share with you guys, maybe as motivation, encouragement, and then of course, just the efficacy of what it is that we do here. And I'm sure a lot of you guys that are on right now know, what it is. What time it is here on this channel. And with the stuff that we provide. So yeah, good job, Sebastian. And yeah, let this be a motivational, encouraging type of piece of information. And keep tabs on what I just mentioned about this, about overtrading, what it leads to. It's a visual right here. That's beautiful case study of that. And I'm sure if you think about it, you guys look back on your own trading, the day before you took a huge loss the next day, what were you thinking? It was most likely something like this. Maybe you didn't get enough. Maybe, you overtraded and you didn't get enough. So you go into the next day thinking about that stuff, and then you just try to overdo it to make what you feel like you lost. Or maybe you took a small loss, right? The next day you come back in trying to make it all back. It's just not necessary because it'll prolong your results. Because again, if he would have just kept this at a lower level, look what he did the next couple of days. Okay? He would have passed already. So the overtrading extended the time. He probably, just like everybody else, went in thinking that, okay, no, I believe in, where price is going to go. I'm assuming he was probably a little frustrated on this day. That's why there was more trades. Then he took that, carried it over into the next day, and it's just, we got to separate the days, right? Each day is unique in the marketplace. And, but yeah, I'm super proud of Sebastian. And just think about some of this stuff that we've talked about. It's very important, okay? Because as much as you may think overtrading is more opportunity, it's actually more risk. And if it goes wrong, you're going to carry that into the next day, maybe the next week, sometimes the next month, sometimes even the next year. Okay? So, yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot of amazing things here. Let me show some of my other students too. Some of the things they knocked down this week. My student Sufi knocked down a good amount. I believe this did run up to the highs. It did, so he knocked that down off the live calls. This is one that we knocked down too. Massive run, running to the buy side. I think I shared that in the free Discord. This is one that he participated in. Same exact entry that I took without me saying anything. Okay, it was all just analysis, and he just heard the buzzwords, and he just knew because of the things I was mentioning. And it was amazing. He wasn't the only one. My little brother, this is my little brother. It's a family affair, right? He took this up to the high, securing minimums. And obviously, that's good experience to see that it ran. But again, amazing. right? Not putting people in entries. This was mine. Okay, took one here, took a partial there, and then I executed here and then snagged a little bit more. I could have held the whole thing, but again, I'm securing minimums. I don't care. And it's amazing how Sebastian held it longer than I did, right? So it's very fascinating, right? But nonetheless, we called it to go higher. And I do believe I shared this screenshot in the free community as well, so you guys were aware of what took place there. Then I got another student here, one of my elite students, Harley. He's amazing. He took the entry here, all the way up, partial, or completion, and amazing, right? My little brother, he also took a short. We were also in this live call, same day, took a live call, or took a short as well. I took buys in here too. I think this was another day, 24. Yes, it's 25. So yeah, I called shorts and buys and shorts again in this call when we were live. And this was the first one I called. Then I called this buy to get up above the high. And of course, you know, my private community, some of them are here generally, and they would come out and call me a liar if I was full of shit. But I'm not, so it is what it is. Sufi also took a short. Beautiful. Sufi's also a new private community member. So Sebastian and Sufi are just coming into the community, and they are already doing amazing things. But yeah, so yeah, I just wanted to share that and give flowers to some of my students that have been doing pretty amazing. And those of you that follow me on YouTube that do have experiences like this, and you learn some stuff when you're here, and maybe some of that stuff assists you in your journey, definitely send me updates of your progress. These are things that I like to see, whether you're with my private community or not. You're still part of the family regardless. So I care about you. I want to see your progression. I want to know your struggles, your successes, and I want to celebrate you as well. Okay, so keep that in mind, because you got support here in the WMG family. All right, so yeah, with that out the way, I hope you guys got value from that, some encouragement, and just see that it's not just one person that can do well with this stuff. It's not just ICT, and it's not just his students. It's even students of his students that can do well as well as a result of ICT's amazing mentorship and guidance. Okay, and then just the ability that we've been given to create our own processes and our own perspectives, that becomes extremely valuable. And sometimes that specific personalized perspective, not taking away from ICT's concepts, can actually be very beneficial to you in terms of trying to help you find yourself as a trader. All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty, right? So we got through the news, NFPs this week. Again, we have this large wick in here. So that's also a bearish order block, or a bearish breaker. We also have a bearish order block up here, but we're not up there yet. So we'll see what happens with this. It still seems like this may just be retracing. So in order for me to think that, this is going to try to continue going higher, notice how it has a high here, low here, high here, low here, and it took out the highs here, similar to the NASDAQ, right? High, low, high, failure swing, and then now we've taken out the low. So there's a very similar thing taking place. Sorry, excuse me. Oh my God. But yeah, so there is a similar behavior taking place in the bonds versus the NASDAQ, okay? We're going to continue to see how that unfolds because, again, whatever the bonds do, it's going to really impact what the indices are going to do. So if this goes higher, turns around and reverses and starts rampaging to the buy side, and then we see DXY, if we see DXY continue to fall, if we see the yields continue to also fall, pretty much doing the opposite of this, again, that should continue to favor DXY declining, maybe off of this, retracement into this. This is my draw on liquidity for this coming week to start the week. Maybe we print a bullish run higher, wick into that, and then continue to drop. We do have a inversion for value gap. We have a breaker here from that monthly. Okay, this down candle. Again, we have fair value gap. and then we have this fair value gap and the down wick. So price is going to have to get through all those levels in order for me to try to assume that we're going to stop going lower, right? So that is my nail or my pin in what I believe is going to take place, what I want to see. I just want to see us potentially rally up. Maybe we have a bullish week next week. Could very well be the case, just to get us up into these levels. And then once we're in those levels, depending on how price delivers around them and inside them, obviously we're going to be able to make a decision based on that. Of course, for me, my line in the sand, to be honest, is going to be this midpoint of this wick. Overall, that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 PD arrays that get violated if that middle portion of the wick is violated. So then that would make my interest potentially be this candle. If we get above this candle, my attention would then go up to this high. If we break this high, obviously we're definitely not going lower. We're going to be going higher in the DXY. But obviously that's way ahead of us. That's way beyond. It's not really something that we should fully put too much importance on at this moment. What's important right now is this, right? This previous high here, it's a previous week's high. This high here, it's a previous week's high. We got a previous week's low. We have the wicks, right? The large wick quadrants. Break it in fours. If price was to start to decline lower, those are draws on liquidity before price takes out this low. Right? Before it does that, though, I'd prefer to see us give a retracement into this level, so then we could maybe catch the high, see a displacement that goes lower, and then we could start to consider those levels down there. If price fails this and starts tanking off the face of the earth still and leaves this available, this was a market maker sell model. So, it wouldn't be unreasonable for them to want to, not have to come back into here, because market maker sell models, market maker buy models, when they're completed, turn into balanced price ranges. Okay. So it wouldn't be unreasonable for them to not come up here. I'd prefer them to do so, right? And then, maybe a wick and then just continue to rampage to the sell side. Again, if that happens, that supports bullish indices. That supports the fact that, we're maybe rebounding in the indices. Ran a blank there. And then, if that's the case, then we'll just continue to follow that delivery. But of course, starting this week, again, we always got to take in consideration previous week's highs, previous week's lows, previous month's highs and lows, previous days' highs and lows, specifically the last 3 days' highs and lows, depending on what we want to see price do. And then new week opening gaps, new day opening gaps, session highs and lows, so on and so forth. Okay, so yeah, we're going to keep those things in mind. But the higher time frame, again, previous month's highs and lows, week's highs and lows, days' highs and lows. And then, of course, PD arrays that are in close proximity. And then where price went, where it came from, where did it end up, and where, what liquidity was taken, and where could it be headed next. In regards to the DXY, we already talked about what it could be doing next. I'd prefer to see us rally up into this. Maybe it doesn't and just continues to fall. If that is the case, then again, that just supports buy-side delivery and the potential change in the state of delivery using this high and this high potentially taking place. And then, of course, we could use this gap in here. We have new week opening gaps at each of these gray lines going through the chart. So that's showing you dynamic support and resistance. We've broken through multiple buy-side new week opening gaps. So 1, 2, 3, 4 we've broken through. And then we've also made this failure swing, and now we broke this high. So it's going to be very important to see what happens here. We may open up and retrace a bit to get down into some of this. If we can go to the weekly, we actually see a bullish order block here. Okay, so if this retraces to start the week, that makes sense, especially if DXY looks to retrace and attack this as well. And then depending on the response we get from there, again, we're going to gauge what the behavior is going to be. Is it going to blow through it and have no respect to it at all and just start rampaging to the buy side, creating a bullish week, in which case would end up influencing this to go lower in some capacity. I'm not going to be bearish on this unless this swing low is violated, this gap is violated, and then these new week opening gaps, and then possibly even have to wait till this low is violated in order for me to get back in line with bearishness. Things look like they're lining up with continued buys. We do see also with the currency that the currencies that there's equal highs up here. there is an SMT that may trigger in a retracement. If DXY runs higher to retrace for the week, even if it's just retracing and that's all it does, again, that promotes a retracement here. But I'm not done trying to seek buys unless something dramatically changes. Inversion fair value gap breaks. Mid portion of this wick gets violated because this should end up creating this lower portion of this fair value gap as a balanced price range. Okay, so that's why we don't have to anticipate it digging too deeply. Okay, Tony said, especially with it being NFP week, it's going to be classic. Yeah, exactly. Of course, I don't want you to go in thinking that it's going to be super easy. I want you to keep the caution up. I want you to go into this week with NFP protocols, which for us, NFP protocols means we have half risk, or at least a quarter of the risk is cut. Like if you risk 1%, you're going to risk 0.75%, right? And if you want to be real conservative, which if you're very new and still trying to catch your footing, I highly suggest you drop down to 0.5%, right? And if you started at 0.5%, like that's your main risk, because that's where you're living right now. You want to drop it at least another 0.25% and have just a 0.25% risk, whatever that is for the account size that you have. Okay, so that's the NFP protocol. Some people look at that as you're too risk averse, like you're scared of risk. No, I'm smart and I'm not an idiot. Okay, I'm not going to go directly against something that ICT has told us. Because me following what he's told us has got me to where I'm at. And it's got all his profitable students to where they're at. And then, of course, you gain experience. You could tinker here and there with adjustments to rules and whatnot. But as you're learning, you want to keep these things in mind that protect you as much as you possibly can until you can protect yourself. And, what I mean by that is, you follow the rules. You're not going to overtrade and over leverage. You don't get beat up by losses. And you don't wing it when things are showing you that it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Okay, but yeah, so we'll see what NFP does. But I do believe that we'll start the week potentially in a retracement for the currencies, possibly reach down into here. Maybe it doesn't even decide to come into this, right? I would like to see the week start, maybe wick down into that. Then maybe NFP will send us through the buy side, because I'm assuming that there's going to be some hopefully positive news, and hopefully that has a positive impact on what happens in the indices. Hopefully we're seeing a rebound. If that is the case, again, in order to support that idea, we're going to have to see price in the bonds rally aggressively, and then preferably break through this bearish breaker, which is this large wick. And then, of course, when price punches into this daily or weekly bearish order block, we're going to have to observe what it's going to do there. But again, I'm going to go into this week assuming that, we'll open up with DXY, rally to some form of a PD array up here because we took external range liquidity. Watch what it does above that. Taking this high is a previous week's high, so that's a significant pool of liquidity. Right? Just a reminder, again, so you don't disregard it or forget. When you're on the higher time frame, your critical points of interest you want to identify is, first of all, where price came from, where it ended up, what liquidity was taken, what higher time frame PD arrays are available to us near term, close, not up here. I don't care about this. I don't care about none of this. Okay, I only care about what's next to me, what could be reasonably reached into. And this fair value gap, this inversion fair value gap, the breaker here from that monthly chart I mentioned, and this down wick. So when price retraces up, that's what I'm looking to observe, right? I'm looking to see how this high is going to be treated when price trades into that fair value gap. It's reasonable to expect this to retrace because we took external range liquidity here. Because this is a market maker sell model, unless this is going to change and start rampaging to the buy side, market maker sell models and buy models create balanced price ranges. So unless this was to really ram through this, because this is a balanced price range up here, I'm going to anticipate a quick response from these levels. And again, if it moves without getting up into there, that's fine. But I'd prefer it to take this liquidity from last week, this one, and then of course use this fair value gap, maybe for NFP, right? I have mentioned this before about the economic calendar as well. When we use the economic calendar, we're looking at the economic calendar as a schedule, kind of like a macro delivery tool for the higher time frame. So the start of the week may end up running higher, setting up into a PD array or some liquidity pool, and then NFP will come out. And if price is going to really run like this, it needs a news event. Why? Because institutional sponsorship is visually active when those news events come out. They use those to stimulate volatility and then pair their orders with whatever liquidity is available on the back end. Right? So just like how macros on the lower time frame give us moments in time where price spools towards a particular liquidity point, for the lower time frame perspective, when you're on the week or when you're on the higher time frame daily and weekly chart, the economic calendar does the same thing, but it does it for the higher time frame. Okay, so that's a critical piece of information too. If you're a swing trader, okay, you can use that in a swing trading model, right? If price is running up into a level, right, during the start of the week, and price hits this, but a news event comes out, you can again use your potential time of entry to get closer to a news event, and once it starts to deliver or show further evidence that that is in fact what's going to take place, maybe you can use that as a framework for a swing trade. For us as day traders, though, we use that as a tool for volatility, and we observe the things that we're talking about here, but we still think of the economic calendar as a higher time frame macro view, because news comes on Wednesday and Thursday, a little bit on Tuesday, but mainly Wednesday and Thursday. Those are times when the expansion can take place, right? Thursday, depending on where it's at, Thursday and Friday present reversals at times. We're just going to have to see how price unfolds. Nobody knows just yet where it's going to open, where the week is going to close, and what the profile is. We have to let price print a little bit so we can gauge what the weekly profile is, and we can gauge how the liquidity is going to be used and what's available to us at that time. All right, so let me make sure that you guys understand what I just said. Let me know in the chat if everything made sense so far. Some of you guys have been here for a while that are on the call right now, so I greatly appreciate you, and I hope this stuff is starting to really click like a well-oiled machine. And you see that it's repetitive over and over. At least a lot of the elements are. Price just looks a little different here and there. But yeah, let me know in the chat if it makes sense. And just a reminder, if you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel, definitely do so if you get value from the content. It definitely helps the channel out. It helps me get in front of more people just like you. And if you have any friends or anyone that you think this could benefit or can maybe add to the conversation, I'd be really appreciative if you could share the video with them and anybody else you think that could get value from what it is we do here. So, all right, Fritz said it makes sense. Tony said that's what makes you a great trader. I appreciate your kind words, Tony. My brother said it makes sense. Yeah, always at all times. It's a cloud that's over us right now, geopolitically. Lots of chaotic stuff taking place. We still got deals that are needing to be made. But again, it's not too dramatic until there's an announcement. If price is consolidating and we're in the midst of geopolitical chaos or adjustments that are taking place, obviously we respond the way that we have the last 2 weeks. Because geopolitics is the reason that this ran higher here. Right? This huge candle. Because Trump said he's going to lay off the tariffs. And so the market heard that and was like, okay, boom, it exploded. Right? So we always keep tabs on what's happening in the news. We always keep tabs on how that's going to affect us as traders or affect the economy. And, we always got to, that's the thing. A lot of people don't like the news. It's toxic or whatever. But we have to keep updated with headlines at least and what's taking place, what moves are being made in the government, so we can know what the risk is in the market at whatever time we're looking to engage. Yeah, we're still inside that 90-day pause. Yep. Yeah, so we'll see. Apparently, there's 70 of the 120 countries have deals that are already on the table. They just got to be finalized, from what I've been hearing. So that is a good sign. That may be part of the reason why price rebounds, and the tariffs aren't going to be as insane as it was portrayed. 10% minimum, and if countries match the 10% and they don't have more, again, it's reciprocal. So we're starting at 10%, and he's trying to negotiate everybody down to 10%, because some countries are tariffing us 80, 90, 100 plus percent when we're only charging them like 5, 10%. So he's trying to balance the playing field. Or some countries we're not tariffing at all. It's just free trade for everybody else except the United States. So all that stuff is being worked on, and 72 of the countries, of the 100 plus countries, have came to the table. I believe Korea is going to be the first one. The deal is the closest with Korea. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens there. And obviously I stay up to date, so I'll keep you guys updated as well. But I do encourage you to try to find an independent media source that talks about news like this, like financial news, or you could just check some of the headlines on some of the news events that don't have Trump derangement syndrome, because they're clouded by their bias, so they don't really give proper information. They're saying the world's ending, but everything that's happening is good for the U.S. economy, so that kind of tells you their agenda their agenda overpowers the reality of what's happening, and it makes it's all from a slanted thing to hate Trump, and like that doesn't help anybody when we're trying to figure out economic policies. They can hate him or love him, but at the end of the day, how this stuff impacts us specifically as traders, that's what we need to focus on. And if the news source is trying to inject their politics into things versus giving real information, you want to find another source so you can make proper decisions, versus thinking the world's ending like many people did the last month, and they sold all their stocks, and they're probably pissed right now, because they got fooled by a stupid agenda, hateful people. But yeah, it's good news, that's for sure. Again, I stay updated with this stuff, so I'll make sure every week we talk about it. I talk about it in my private community too, so you'll be updated, I promise. But it's encouraged for you to also do your own research. So yeah, DXY nicely inside OTE from 3 months. Let's go see what you see right there. Quarterly chart. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We do have a bearish order block here too for the quarter. And again, we hit this very significant liquidity pull down here. So yeah, I just remembered that we cleared the table. So let's actually put some of this stuff back. So yeah, when it comes to analysis, this is kind of where I start, right? A lot of people don't like to use the quarterly chart because they think it's worthless. But we've been calling for this quarterly fair value gap for the last 3 weeks. So, it's pretty interesting how it came right to that. And I talked about that as a possible long-term target, given how fast we've been. So, a lot of the people that thought this was nonsense or not worth their time are probably punching the air right now, because we were ahead of this and it drove our narrative for weeks. Okay, that's a significance behind knowing the higher time frame. You don't have a bias for a day. A lot of times that's the easier idea. But calling it for weeks, that's something most people don't know how to do. Like 90% of people can't even fathom that that's a possibility. Dang, Tony, going for your third funded? Wait, you're saying your third funded account? Bro, what? Oh, shit. For real? Dang, Tony, you got to keep me updated with this stuff, man. I'm like, dude. Man, if you're going for your third funded account and you passed 2 already, that's amazing, bro. Amazing job. Had over 7 withdrawals between March and April. Are you freaking serious? Oh, man. This is amazing. Dude, holy crap. Man. Amazing. Amazing. That makes me so happy to see. Yeah, send it to my IG, or if you're in my free Discord, send it through to my send it in there too, just to for motivational encouraging reasons for the community. Man, great job, Tony. Great job. Just keep your mindset mellow, keep it balanced, keep doing what has got you to those 7 withdrawals in March and April. Don't get overzealous. Don't get too high. Don't get too low if you take a loss. It's just another day at the desk, another day at the job. You know, if you take a win, cool, on to the next. If you take a loss, cool, on to the next. It's not going to be damaging as much as, you know, it damages other people in terms of taking small losses after win streaks if you keep your mindset just balanced. Just know you'll take losses, you will take losses, but how you manage those, if you manage them the way that we talk about, you should have nothing to fear. Nothing to fear at all. Zero. Okay? Because it's just another day at the office. Okay? 5 years from now, the loss that you took, you know, whenever, is not going to matter. You know, if you take a loss this week, you know, a couple months from now, it's not going to matter. The only way it's going to matter is if you blow your account. Because then you're going to think about, damn, I overtraded and I blew my account, versus just completely forgetting about the loss that you took because it was so small. And that's forced upon you if you follow the 1 to 2 trades a day rule, because you have no ability to do more if you follow that rule as gospel. You know, like make that like cemented non-negotiable. I cannot take more than 1 or 2 trades a day. Maybe 3 depending on the scenario, but even that is discouraged. You know, because if you do that if you overtrade for winning days, you're going to end up overtrading for losing days, and the losing days, you know, it could really kick you off your rocker, and you don't want to have that happen. And I'm here to try to step in front of that, because I dealt with that so much. I have some students that are still dealing with it. I'm trying to work them through that, and it's very difficult for a lot of people. You know, but you know, each moment in the market is unique, and each moment in the market though does not matter. Okay, it's not like one trade today is going to be like the life changer. It's not. It's going to be over time as you progress and continuously stack wins up. That's what's going to really bring the value and leaps in wealth generation. Okay. Obviously, again, this ain't financial advice. This is just my opinion, obviously. You know, for the feds watching. So, yeah. But I'm glad to hear that you've been doing well, Tony. Good job. Amazing job. Definitely send that over. I want to give you your flowers. Right? So, yeah. We'll keep tabs on this. I do see that we have this quarterly bearish order block here, so we'll keep that in mind too. What am I going to do with that? Damn, what color should I make quarterly? Maybe I'll make it... Color should I make it? No, it's too blue. Maybe I'll make the quarterly like a red, pink-ish. Oh, I already have it? Okay, let's see. Where is it at? No, I don't like that. Alright, so let me save that real quick. Sorry, guys. Gotta save it real quick. Okay. The chat. Meeting you made me start seeing the market for what it is. Amazing, bro. I'm grateful that you've got value from here. And mind you, you're only on my YouTube channel. And to see that you're making progress off that, just being on the YouTube channel, it shows that what I've set out to achieve on YouTube, for those that want to sit here and take this serious, it shows that I'm doing this properly, and I'm really appreciative of that. You know, because it's very easy to come out here and be a shitty mentor, but to be someone that actually provides people evidence, that provides people the tools to succeed, which they can go and prove it on their own without you needing to give them signals. I mean, it's a different level, because 90% of mentors on YouTube don't allow that opportunity for students, no matter how big their stupid following is. 6-month chart has a large bullish wick. Customer is right until April 15th. All right, we'll check that. Possibly, can you post your Discord link so I can send it there? Oh, you're not, are you in the free Discord? I can't remember if you're in the free Discord or not. Yeah, let me actually go find that. Let's see, wait a minute. I have it somewhere over here. Let me see. Every time I send a new link, like personally, for some reason, it takes away the actual link, and then it expires. And I try to turn the timer off so it doesn't expire for the free Discord, and it just continuously turns it off. So I'm not sure what the hell's going on with that. But let me I believe I have it here in the YouTube description. Let me see. Oh, there it is. There it is. Hey, what's up, Sufi? I was just talking about you, brother. I was just talking about you. Just talking about you. You also take the time to engage with us personally. Yeah. Most people let their egos get way ahead of what they're doing. They're not here for the right reasons. And I mean, I guess it's probably a little more difficult to be super intimate when the community is so massive, when it, is at certain levels, which I get. But, if they want to be a mentor, they need to figure out what they're going to do, given the blessing that they've been given with all these different people's attentions that have come for help. So they better figure it out. I know I would. If I had 100K subscribers or more, even 20K, 10K, and it, maybe it ended up blowing up the amount of people in my Discords. I mean, I would hire some other people to help me, manage, and people that I've trained. I've talked to some of my private community students about that, and they're open to it. So I'm definitely willing to do that. Provide them value, pay them to help me. That's definitely future plan. I got a lot of future plans for the Discord and the education. Thinking about an app, thinking about, like a separate app, thinking about a lot of different stuff. Damn it, Sufi. You better not be hungover, bro. It is what it is, yeah. You gotta go enjoy yourself sometimes, though, right? It was a pretty good week too, so a lot to celebrate. But yeah, Tony, let me know if that link works. Sometimes it expires or refreshes for whatever reason. But I made that one hopefully not expirable. Hopefully. Dang, Sufi, you got home at 3 a.m. and you back on, huh? Shit, hey, that's priorities right there. He's like, I don't care if I'm hungover or not. I'm gonna get these gems. Damn right, dude. But yeah, Tony, let me know if that link works, and if it doesn't, I'll send another one. But yeah, so again, where we're at on this 3-month chart, prices came down to a quarterly fair value gap. Because we reached it, it became important. A lot of times on these really large time frames, levels don't become very important or useful. They should be written down or put somewhere so you can remember when price gets closer. but a lot of times we don't want to focus too much here as day traders, because it just takes too much time. And there's other more short-term things that we can identify, as you guys know. So yeah, this is pretty much all I'm looking at here. I mean, we do have this large wick here that kind of, overlap this. So, maybe that low is something we could watch as important as well for resistance. Maybe it respects this and continues to decline. But, we'll see, right? If DXY is going to do what I've been saying I want to see it do, which is give us this retracement to then go lower, then the quarterly fair value gap here is going to be something I'm very interested in seeing get filled entirely. But again, we'll have to see what happens. That is a little far from here. And the first step is I want to see how price is going to behave around this area. We've taken liquidity. Now we're looking for internal. External range taken. Internal range is now in the crosshairs. Okay, and what internal range? Fair value gap. We have this wick. We have the inversion fair value gap and this bearish breaker here, which I need to outline because I took it off. Some monthly bearish breaker. Right. And one thing that I learned too over the years, obviously our markups or analysis can get a little busy at times for some of us. So it's really, really important, especially if you're very thorough, to really label the different points of interest. If you're doing them from time frame to time frame, you want to make sure you're coloring them, make them color coded. Just a tip that I use. It's been very helpful. Just so I don't get lost, you know what I mean? I have a lot of things written down just so I don't forget. And maybe I could take them off. I like my charts being as clean as possible. But obviously if I'm live and I'm trying to teach something or share something, I want to make sure that everything is accounted for and things don't go overlooked. So yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm focused on for the monthly chart. And then again, we have the weekly. First of all, we got the weekly highs and weekly lows. And then of course we have the weekly fair value gap. Okay, and then the monthly breaker. So that is some of the important stuff we want to see. Every time we go to a higher time frame chart, those are some of the key elements we want to look at. PD arrays that are close to us, the higher time frame, monthly, weekly, daily highs and lows that are most recent, most current, and then where price came from, where it ended up, and where it could go next based on those levels. Very, very simple. You know what I mean? It's not hopefully overly complicated, but that's pretty much all we do on these Sunday calls. There's a reason I don't go down to the 5 minute, 1 minute, and all that stuff, because that's not where the attention should be. Aside from you placing your new week opening gap, which I actually have to go do on the NASDAQ. Okay, but this is pretty much what I'm looking at here. If I could find weekly fair value gap. And then of course the order block, which is kind of interesting. The bearish order block low is actually the midpoint. Please, what is that, a quarterly bearish order block? Quarterly bearish order block. Space it out. See, I'm just adding some stuff that I don't have as a quick thing. So yeah, you should do this too. Like you can see all the templates I have. I have every single possible thing that I've studied that has been important to me. So I definitely encourage you guys to do that. And if you want to keep it like the most important things that you use on a regular basis, just like a trading view tip, if you make templates and you want to keep the important stuff, maybe you have a lot like me, If you want to keep the important stuff above so it doesn't get lost in alphabetical order and just get sent to the bottom, if it's like a Q or a Z or something, you want to put a 1 at the beginning. So yeah, so put a 1 at the beginning, then put your label, whatever you want it to do. But yeah, so very, very helpful tip. So yeah, so does everything make sense as far as the DXY is concerned? Excuse me. And the bonds and yields as well. Just let me know in the chat. DXY bearish, looking for it to run higher first into one of these levels, and then we're going to observe what it does there. It does? All right, beautiful. All right, cool. All right, so with that being said, we already talked about this too. I would prefer, if DXY is going to retrace, to go lower, which is what we want to see for Power 3, given the fact that nothing's changed. Then we should see a very similar thing here as well with the currencies. I don't know what the hell that is. I'm just highlighting some random, maybe it was a wick. Is it a wick? No. I don't know what that was. Just a random box. Oh, it was a fair value gap. Okay. It was an 8-hour fair value gap. So yeah. So again, the currencies declined. They swept out lows. There was SMT at that area. Then price ended up rallying higher. DXY ended up tanking lower. So I'm going to think that that's going to continue. The high to low here, this should act as a balanced price range. If it doesn't and it just starts smashing through the midpoint, that is very suspect. That's multiple PD arrays being violated. I mean, we could look at it as a potential run from premium to discount. But if this is going to deliver as a breaker, again, we don't want it to try to come deeper into that. So that's why we wouldn't fully anticipate the price is going to want to dig down to a discount based on this low to that high. Okay, so yeah, I hope that makes sense. Sometimes, price doesn't want to go to a discount, and PD arrays being present like this and balanced price ranges being left, that's a lot of the reason why. And then of course the order in the PD array matrix goes from breakers, mitigation blocks, and then the rest come after that. So this is a breaker. So because it's there, I don't think that it's going to really have a need to want to go down lower if it's going to go higher. And then of course on the monthly chart, just for completeness sake, we have a monthly high here and a monthly high here and a monthly high here. So we got 3 highs up there. I highly doubt that they're going to leave that available. I don't think they're just going to let that stay there. It's just, I don't think it's going to happen. So yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, that's what I'm going to look for. That's my draw on liquidity for the week. It may give us this retracement to come tap into here, but that is just under the impression that it's going lower to go higher. And if I was going to, participate in one of these, I've always traded GBP. So GBP is what I favor always. That's what got me my first 2 funded accounts with FTMO before they took away the ability for U.S. traders to trade and took my $400,000 account. So that was a struggle. They fucking stole my shit. Sorry for my language, but yeah. So yeah, that is my opinion on the currencies, bonds, and yields. Now we go to the indices real quick, and we'll put a ribbon on it. How long have we been live? Okay, now we're 20 minutes. All right. So yeah, looking at what we see here, let's actually start. Where is my clean chart? There it is. Wait, that's not it. Continuous and Q. All right. So yeah, again. Oh, what is happening here? It's not letting me click and drag anything. What the heck? Okay, it's working now. That was weird. It didn't let me click and drag. That was annoying. Yeah, 400K, yeah. It was a clown show. It was so unfortunate. Luckily, I withdrew money and kept it there so I could trade my personal account. Luckily, I had my personal account focused very, very early. Luckily, I didn't go buy a bunch of stuff. I didn't waste my money. But they took my 400K account, and that was pretty heartbreaking. But, it showed that my goals at the start of me trading, which was to have a funded account, personal funded account first and foremost as my goal versus like a bunch of funded accounts. Luckily, I thought that way early on. Otherwise, that would have been I would have had to figure out what to do. They also took my $72,000 withdrawal that I was waiting for. They didn't even give me my withdrawal on top of that. They just completely cut me out entirely. I was like, dude, didn't even get an email. I didn't get anything. I just loaded up my account and it said that, U.S. traders are now prohibited because of the regulations. And I was like, hitting up support, no response. So they basically just took my money, took my accounts. So yeah, it was a rough situation. Put a horrible taste in my mouth about these funded accounts. So that's the risk. You're putting your ability to trade in someone else's hands, unless you, of course, take the profits and build your own nest egg with money you could trade with, just in case something like that happens. Or have multiple accounts on multiple different brokers or funded accounts. I trust TopStep. I trust Apex, right? They are a little pricey, but once you pass the funded account, you don't get charged. You're not going to pay the fee forever. The only thing you pay for is data, but that's like $7 USD. So it's not really even that much, right? So yeah, once you pass the funded account, you don't pay. You trade and make withdrawals, and you're allowed to be the trader. TopStep's cool too because they actually give you a full-on, real funded account. If they see your progress is doing very well, and you're making good gains, they'll actually give you the ability to trade an actual funded account, like a real cash account, which it's kind of interesting. I know Tanya trades on YouTube, another ICT trader. I know she trades, I believe, a real funded account on TopStep because they gave her that option. So yeah, as far as what I've heard, that's what they offered her. But yeah, so again, it's pretty fascinating to know that we identified this yearly order block ahead of time. I talked about this, I highlighted it, and then I punched down into that. I said, let's watch what happens there. Otherwise, it's going to slide to this. And then it hit it and never came back. It hit it, made a failure swing, respected the wick here. Price jolted up as a result of the tariffs being relaxed. And then, of course, we traded all through here. And now we've ended up in this area up here. Okay, so again, high to the low. So it went from stops, was supposed to go to inefficiencies, and then back to attacking the low. It failed to do that with this failure swing. Now we've broken this high. We may be seeing a change in the state of delivery. If this high up here gets violated, this whole move lower, higher that got us up above this high, that'll create all this down here as a balanced price range. And it shouldn't have to come back down there. So this is my full-on sell invalidation. So we'll see what happens with that. Gotta put in headphone real quick. So yeah. Can you guys hear me okay? Just want to make sure. Looks like everything's okay. If you could just send a message real quick that you can hear me. All right, beautiful. Yeah, it's been tech problems all morning. Thankfully, it's okay. All right, so yeah, this is pretty much what we're looking for. We were talking about this high and the equal highs up there for weeks, or since last week and the week before that when it set the highs. We this week called for this low to be violated. If we go to the 1 hour or 2 hour, this move here attacking the low, we called that and were able to participate. Some students in my mentorship community were able to engage that. I believe my student named Maddie actually engaged that. And then just all through here, we were taking pounds of flesh as price was moving higher. And then, of course, these equal highs. I mentioned, I think I showed this also in the free community, the Discord too. So you guys were aware of what I was looking at from what I can remember. And we've pretty much fulfilled that. So again, if DXY chooses to retrace higher into these levels that we have as our draw on liquidity early on, and then maybe NFP sends us lower, again, that will promote this, given some type of rejection, right? It may look to dig lower, maybe clean up some of this liquidity, maybe even turn this area in here into a bullish breaker. And then maybe that'll send us up potentially. We also have the fair value gap here on that daily. Use a midpoint. Should be able to stay above that. We have the high to the low and a strong overlapping delivery here. So this should act as a bullish order block or a balanced price range. So we should not have to trade back down into here if we are going to continue going higher. I'd prefer to see us do that little retracement to start the week, open, decline, sweep this low out, target some form of a discount. If we measure out from this low to the high, I do kind of have a problem with the fact that they have this gap down here, so that's kind of a concern. It's definitely kind of a concern there. They may actually look to want to pull it down into there. So we'll have to see how price begins. Then, of course, the line in the sand for this to go back into bullish mode of delivery, it's going to have to drop down here. So, Tony, I actually sent the message, the Discord link in the chat. So if you go and scroll up a bit, it was... Here, I'm actually going to pin it. Damn, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I could do that. But yeah, I pinned it right there. I threw up a pin. So let me know if it works if you click on it and can join. All right. So yeah, so that's kind of my observations, what I'm looking for. I want to see if we can continue to see price go higher. And then, of course, if not, if price does want to decline and start attacking sell side again, again, we have this gap down here that's pretty nicely available. They left that thing wide open. But again, this also delivered a market maker buy model. I also talked about that in my private community. I think I may have mentioned it in the free community. I'll have to go double check. But I'm mentioning it now. This was part of the reason why we were able to get in and engage buys and attack the buy side up here, because we saw that this was a market maker buy model. Price dug down below this. This was the line in the sand. Price broke this high. Consolidation, accumulation, reaccumulation, smart money reversal here. First stage distribution, second stage distribution. How do we know that's the second stage distribution for sure? Is because price exploded and got above the highs up here. That move right there shows that that delivery and this observation of this being a market maker buy model was absolutely, in fact, part of the analysis, and it was correct. This is a good example to stash away in your journals, right? Damn, Damn, my Forex funds. My Forex funds or my funded futures? There's two that actually have that name. Or MFF. Then 2023 December, I owed $15K from two accounts, and it crushed me. Yeah, it's rough. But again, I think that all of that was necessary, in all honesty, especially because you're here in this community and you're listening to what I'm saying and you're applying it and you're seeing results improve as a result of that. I think all that stuff was necessary, just like it was necessary for me to have to go through what I've been through in trading, because it's made me have a real respect for risk. It's made me really understand that I cannot be a reckless gambler. I just can't. This is not a place to do that. This isn't like anything else. It's not a casino. It's not random. Things are very calculated. People that trade thinking things are random. They got some cojones. Okay, they got some balls. Let's just say that. Because I wouldn't be able to do this if I thought things were random. At first, when I first started, I thought it was. But then I learned about ICT, and I'm like, holy crap, this is absolutely, positively, 100% what I'm going to do forever. It was August 7th, 2020 is when I discovered ICT. It's amazing. I've been trading for almost 6 years. And a little bit before that is when I started and lost thousands of dollars that I didn't have. It was... Man, when I think back on the things I've been through as a trader, it's just like, man, it's just it's incredible to see where we can end up. And I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, and neither are you guys. There's no ceiling in this industry. You can achieve anything. Your goals right now that you think are achievable, you're going to blast through them. ICT mentions this all the time. Once you get this skill down, there's no limit. The only limitations are the ones you place on yourself. So, you got to just keep doing the right things. And you guys are in the right place. I do my best to give you the right information. I don't blow smoke up your ass. I tell you it's difficult, just like ICT says. Nobody should be saying, oh, it's easy, this and that. It becomes a lot easier. I mean, these calls take a while because I sit and I explain stuff. When I hop on with my private community, or just even in normal live calls, I get right to business. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and it takes me 5 or 10 minutes to figure out where I think price is going to go. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it takes an hour into the session. Sometimes 30 minutes. But nonetheless, I mean, we got a baseline understanding of what it's going to potentially do, and then we feel out and read the story price prints to us, and it's some of the stuff that I teach you guys to do, and how to dissect what's taking place. Experiences, yeah. Experience is something you can't be taught. No one can just hand you experience. Nobody can hand you trust and belief in yourself and in the concepts. All we can do is share the information, prove to you that it works, show you how to use the tools in our arsenal, and then you have to get your hands dirty. And those of you that do see massive results. Tony is one of them. Fritz, you're on your way to being one of them. Sufi's one of them, right? He's on his way too. Sebastian, like I mentioned earlier. Harley from my private community. Maddie from my private community. Bullfrog, aka Mark from my private community. There's just so many people, and I know I'm probably missing. Breaker Brian, like I mentioned earlier, from my private community. I mean, it's just amazing what the right information can do. And if you just get your hands dirty, don't be scared of anything, get in there and start doing it wrong. And of course, that'll eventually turn you into doing it right. Ask questions, make the most of the time we spend together. Because I'm not here just to talk. I'm not here entertaining myself. I'm not here to entertain you. Okay. I'm here to help you learn, and I'm here to help you accomplish your goals. I'm here to help you help yourself accomplish the goals that you want to aim to achieve in this industry. You know what I mean? So yeah. And again, if you guys have friends that you think would like this content or can add to the conversation, I highly encourage you guys again to let them know, invite them. But yeah, don't just bring anybody, right? Just you want to bring people that are close to you, that you think can actually handle this, that do actually want to do this. So yeah. And a lot of us don't have people in our lives that we could go reach out to that want to do this, that even believe this is possible. You know, I just like to mention it just in case. Because the more people that we bring in that are friends with, like you guys, or that know each other, the better the vibe is in the community. The more tight-knit the community becomes, at least from what I've seen. A lot of my students in my private community are referrals, like friends of friends of friends, right? And of course, there's some that just found me on YouTube and Instagram and whatnot. And they're amazing as well, you know. It just, I don't know, the dynamic just becomes a lot sharper, a lot more cohesive, and we're all there helping each other out, which is what I really, really enjoy. So much so that it's going to get to the point where I'm going to hire some of my private community students to help me teach as the community grows. Maybe that'll end up being one of you guys. You know what I mean? All right, let me see the chat real quick. The only way to fail in this industry is if you quit. Yep. Yeah, if you never quit, even if you take breaks, that's okay. You know, breaks are a good thing. You know, sometimes you'll need a break. Okay, so. But this bug has bitten us. You know, there's nothing better than this. Yeah. Because we understand the opportunity, because we've been tasting it, and you guys now have seen someone other than ICT that's accessible, that is also able to do it and is able to teach others to do it, who are coming out here proving it themselves that what we talk about works. I mean, it's going to be impossible for you to go to a job, even if you have a hard time trading. Maybe you blow an account, maybe you make a bunch of mistakes, maybe you do this or do that. It's going to be very difficult for you to go back to normal life and think, I'm just going to totally quit and never try again. It's going to be impossible because you know what's available. It's just, I mean, it's a positive, but it can also be a negative because trading's not for everybody. But you can, fairly reasonably understand that, it's for you if you spend a lot of time just dissecting things. No, so it's a fractal need to get rich ICT. Welcome. I don't think I've seen you here before, but welcome, brother. I appreciate you hopping on. And that fractal pattern you see is actually the fractal indicator from Nephew Sam. So definitely search up Nephew Sam fractal indicator on TradingView, and it will pop up. And it's an ICT trader. So as you may know, ICT does not use the Williams 5-bar fractal pattern. He uses 3. So Nephew Sam allows you to have both. So just go search that up and adjust it to what what he talks about. It's very easy too. Nephew Sam has a lot of good ICT indicators. So yeah, go check that out. But yeah, guys, we pretty much talked about everything that I wanted to discuss today in terms of what we think price is going to do. We're going to continue to monitor whether this run is going to lead us to attacking the highs up here. We're going to obviously anticipate price potentially looking to run this liquidity, tap into this fair value gap potentially to go higher. That will be supported by DXY opening up, running higher into the fair value gap, this monthly breaker, quarterly bearish order block, but more importantly, the previous week's highs here and this fair value gap. And again, if these levels start to get really, really violated, that's going to be a problem, okay, for us to look to short. We'd have to really wait. That would be a scenario if we just start displacing higher. That'd be something that I would have to sit on my hands and wait for, especially because NFP is coming out. So maybe NFP is for surely going to push us in a direction that we can rely on. So from this higher time frame, again, I mean, it's not unreasonable for us to think that the start of the week may go against the downside, right? It may run up to the buy side, hit this fair value gap in here, and then displace lower. Okay, that displacement lower may have to come from the NFP announcement. Here's a list of my important indicators that I use. Weekend day separator has to do with separating the weekends. I have the fractal nephew Sam indicator. All I literally did was go to the settings and switch it from 3 to 5. It starts off at 5. I put it back to 3. How many candles back? Has 8. Yeah, I mean, you could mess with this, right? It's really up to you. Whatever your thing wants to be. I don't think I ever changed this, to be honest. It's just a default, so you can do that. Obviously, the watermark is just something that I have up here. It's for myself, personal. ICT Everything by Cold Brew Roche. I have him because he highlights a lot of the other things like open prices, Asian range, flout, central bank dealers range. If you're familiar with that concept, I use that all the time. I've been using that all the time. Most people don't think about it because they think it's complicated, so I don't really talk about it. My private community, we've had conversations about it. But yeah, and then of course this right here though, this regular trading hours gap indicator is actually exclusive to our private community. One of my students named Mark, aka Bullfrog, he's actually a computer savage, and he actually can pump out indicators, which is amazing. Again, just a wonderful, wonderful benefit that I've been able to bring to the community through the internet, right? And being able to meet such amazing individuals. This man he's an amazing individual. He actually has a YouTube channel. I think I shouted it out before, but his YouTube channel is, search up Bullfrog, and he should pop up if I'm not mistaken. Let me actually go search that up real quick. Oh shit, whoops. Let me go search that up real quick. I'm telling you guys right now, a year or two from now, maybe less, the students in my private community are going to be building their followings as well. Probably going to have like side-by-side calls on YouTube, plus, of course, have them really, really engage and help others in the community. They already do that. They're already really amazing. They're open to assisting. So you not only get me when you join the community, you get multiple people that have been here for over a year studying the things that I talk about, and some have been studying ICT overall for a similar amount of time to me. I have 3 people that started trading with me. They're there to ask for help. I mentioned Breaker Brian, who was here earlier. He's an amazing student. He's still learning and growing and doing what he has to do to get to where he's trying to go. But you have a nice exclusive community. It's not huge, but it's a very tight-knit exclusive community that you get to have as a resource. And it's a vibe. Everyone's there supporting each other. BS does not get tolerated. Okay, it quickly gets dealt with and removed if needed, and refunded at that point, if that's the case. That's only happened twice, but a lot of communities are very drama filled, and this is not one of them. So you join, you get a bunch of resources, bunch of private videos that I've done from questions that students have asked me, and it's so much. It's everything you possibly need. At least it's everything that I felt like I would have needed, and that's kind of how I kind of look at things. And then of course my students, I ask them questions, they ask me questions, and the whole community is organized because of them. The way that the things that they've struggled with, I've put as a resource, either a lesson or a category or whatever the case may be, examples of certain things. It's very, very driven by the students. Okay, for sure, yeah. So yeah, that link was to the free Discord. Private communities, something separate. But yeah, let me go see what you wrote. Oh, there he is. There he is. Freaking Tony. But yeah, brother, I'd like for you to share your experiences, your progress and all that. You could share that. Maybe you could share that under the live calls section. Maybe you could share it in the live calls section in the free community. But yeah, I definitely want to hear what you've been up to, Tony, because you show up every week. You told me today that you had a little bit of struggles, but every week you've been showing up and saying you've been seeing improvement, and it's amazing. You're one of many, and I'm just super humbled and honored to be able to act as that resource to you. So yeah. Let's see real quick. Is that him? I don't know if that's him or not. I'm looking for my student's YouTube channel so I could share it. I'll have to find it and share it with you. That's not him. Yeah, I'll have to share it in the private community or free community too. But yeah, you guys. So I think we talked about pretty much everything. I know you guys probably got some stuff to do, so I'll probably just put a ribbon on it. But yeah, thank you guys for popping in and spending some time with me this morning. As always, I hope you guys got value. Hope you guys either learned something or were able to amplify everything. How is gold and DXY correlated? For the most part, they're reverse correlated. If you go to the free community, I actually have do I have a risk on, risk off section? I think I do. Yeah. If you go to the risk on, risk off section in the free Discord, definitely spend some time digging through some of the resources I have. When it comes to like relationships and fundamental analysis and whatever question you may have, for the most part, most of the things you ask, there's going to be a section for you to go look at and find more resources too, just so you can, just have that as an extra. And obviously, I'm always here to help you. I'm not some egotistical dumbass like most of these people, so I'm always willing to help. As you guys, that have been here for years and for the last 6 months have found out. Do what you will, right? Take screenshots. Anything you guys have questions on, of course, I cater this channel to you guys. So if you have questions about something, I'm more than happy to make a video about it or talk about it on Sundays, or sometimes maybe even on Tuesdays if there's nothing we find, or if it's reasonable within the live call. But most of the time, that's going to be for trading. I'm going to add another live call on Thursdays for the free community or here on YouTube. Trying to decide when I'm going to do that, but it's going to be within like the next month or two, maybe even in May, middle of May, maybe end of May, maybe sooner. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do. Sufi, what? Sufi, you're funny. You're freaking hilarious. What? Why do you say that, bro? Oh, man. Last I heard, Diddy's in jail, isn't he? Diddy's in jail. But yeah. But all right, you guys. So I guess I'll put a ribbon on it. Again, thank you guys for popping in. Hope you got value. Need to get rich _ICT. Definitely. If this is your first time here, welcome, brother. I'm grateful that you've spent some time with us. I hope to see you soon again. If you want, I do have a free community. Definitely go dig into, go join that, see what we have to offer in there. And then of course, if you join that, definitely send me a DM. I'd like to know a little bit about you, kind of get to know some of your background, how long you've traded, what style you trade. Obviously, you trade ICT, so what model do you use? What strengths and weaknesses do you have? And what kind of content would serve you the best? I'd really like to know that information. I do that with pretty much all my students, whether it's here on YouTube or especially in my private community. So if you got some time today, definitely do that. And yeah, I'll end up seeing you again in the free community or live on Tuesday for our live call, our live trading call. All right. No worries, Sufi. But yeah, God bless you guys. If you have any questions, let me know as always. With that being said, hope you have a good weekend, and I will catch y'all on the next one.